out to talk about them rigged trial.
It should never have been brought. It doesn't deserve anything like this. There is no case, and they've said it. People that don't necessarily follow or like Donald Trump said this is an outrage that this case was brought.
In the rulings this morning, the judge ruled that the jury can hear about the National Enquirer deal with Playboy playmate Karen McDougal, with whom Trump allegedly had an affair. She paid $150,000 in that catch and kill scheme to keep the story about their alleged affair quiet. But he did say that the jury
Please subscribe
watch Trump's infamous
for more on the trial.
Tape when he made those comments, vulgar comments about women, but they can hear evidence about his words. And a lot of the court session has been held up dealing with Michael Cohen, the convicted felon, former Trump fixer who went to federal prison on campaign violations. The judge ruling that his guilty plea in that cannot be used as evidence against the former president in this case. So that quite a big win, it seems, for the president's side. They will, of course, attack Michael Cohen as a liar. The prosecution will try and show that he is telling the truth about the alleged scheme to keep the former president's alleged affairs quiet and away from voters during the 2016 presidential campaign. Just before the trial broke for lunch, about an hour lunch back in half an hour from now, the judge looked directly at the former president and said that he has a right to be here at the trial, but if he disrupts it, he could be held in contempt of court. He also admonished him that if he does not show up, he could issue a warrant for the former president's arrest. At that, the former president sat at the wooded defense table, nodded that he understood those blunt directions. So lunch break right now, back in about 25 minutes. Sandra and John, back to you.
Yeah, we do expect that we'll be back underway again shortly. Eric will stay in touch. Thank you, John.
Sandra, let's bring you Professor Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and constitutional law attorney. So, Jonathan, non-disclosure agreements,
please subscribe. Show the channel some love too by hitting that subscribe button. If you hit subscribe, hit the bell, you get all the updates when I post news.
I mean, this is a Frankenstein case.
Since you did that, why don't you hit that like?
They attached it to a dead alleged federal felony and zapped it back into life. So many of us are just amazed to watch this actually walk into court, because it's not a recognizable crime that any of us have seen. It does not appear to be a federal crime, but that's the theory that Bragg is using. So to go into the Wayback Machine, this state misdemeanor died because of statute of limitations. Then what Bragg said was, well, I'm going to allege that you did false filings on business records to hide a crime, but he was very ambiguous what that crime might be. He still is ambiguous, but it is assumed to be a federal election crime. The problem is the federal government doesn't view it as a crime. They decided not to prosecute, and most election experts say that this is the type of thing that's failed in the past. So this bizarre indictment is now going to be an equally bizarre trial. And to this day, there's some confusion as to Bragg's actual theory as to what was the exact crime that Trump was hiding from all this.
Right. This is what the Wall Street Journal said about Bragg trying to bootstrap this up to a federal felony. He said, quote, 7 months before the 2024 election, it's a trial that shouldn't happen in a case Mr. Bragg shouldn't have brought. The Stormy affair was sordid business, but the DA's argument is a legal stretch in ways that might bother a skeptical juror or an appeals court. So they're in jury selection for probably the next couple of weeks or so. Will the prosecution find jurors that are favorable to its case, or do you think jurors have already made up their minds to say, as you have said, why the heck is this even in court?
Well, look,
thank you for watching. Please subscribe.
Trump could pull unless you just took everyone at the DNC headquarters. I mean, it is as a bad a pull as you can get. Now, that doesn't mean that they throw up their hands. They're not going to try to find someone who likes Trump. That's just, there's not many people available that fit that description in Manhattan. What they're looking for is someone
we'll come up to Albany. I'm here.
Independent, maybe a little feisty. You're going to have jury advisors there. Looking for people that have great conviction and confidence. They may dislike Trump, but you want people who like the law more. And that's what you're really looking for. You're also looking for what I call a Trojan juror. These are jurors who will lie to get into a high-profile case, and they'll be hiding within them bias and past conduct that they won't reveal. That you can often find out through social media. So there's a lot of work that's going to have to be done in the next 2 weeks.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have suggested that if you were counseling Trump's attorneys, you would suggest to them that they could instruct the jury that they could convict on a lesser offense, that of a misdemeanor. But if the statute of limitations is run on the misdemeanor, how would that ever happen?
Well, because
Thank
they
you for
revived
watching.
this case
More
and
updates soon.
reframed it under this felony law.
But you can't see it unless you subscribe and hit that bell.
Before the jury gets
God
the
bless.
case, defense counsel will stand up and ask
See you next
the court
time.
to consider an instruction to
Subscribe.
the jury